This episode is sponsored by JDAQA Software Testing, your scalable solution for manual, automated, security, and performance testing. Check us out at jdaqa.com. And with that, let's get on with the show.
This is The First Customer, hosted by Jay Agnew.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the First Customer Podcast. My name is Jay Agnew. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Dan Abel Jr. He is the Chief Chocolate Officer of Bissinger's Chocolate. God, that was a lot. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. All right. Where did you grow up, and did that have any impact on you being the Chief Chocolate Officer?
I grew up in St. Louis, which is where the company is headquartered. And my parents started a candy company before I was alive in 1981. And then we acquired Bissinger's 6 years ago. So we are 6 years into the 350-year existence of the company.
And just give us we talked about this before, but give me kind of the quick family tree / corporate structure.
My parents came in 81. They opened the business in February, got married in May. So they still in the business, still married since then. And then my brother, sister, and I all got involved. I mean, we grew up like working in as 12, 13, 14-year-olds in the business. And then as we got through school, we all got in at different times. So we're about 3 to 4 years apart, each one of us, and all have kind of different roles inside the business.
And how did you guys sort out who would do what?
I think it was, the funny thing is I was one of our head candy makers at the time when we were a much smaller company. And then my brother came in about 4 years later when he got out of school and started to work in our candy kitchen. So he kind of took over that role, but I was doing sales and traveling to see customers and helping make candy. And so my favorite part of the business is actually making and R&D and development, but I was kind of split between two things. So it allowed our kitchen to have a really good full-time second person in the kitchen that, didn't disappear every 2 weeks to go on a sales trip. And so, yes, he kicked me out of that position, but it was needed. So I needed to go out and sell what they're making. And then my sister, she just has a business mind. So, accounting and payroll and, corporate orders and everything else. Like, thank God one of us could handle that. Because she'll go on vacation and I have to, reconcile the books every day. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, it's the worst. That's my least favorite part of business.
Oh, for sure.
I have so many questions. Why do we only have candy from like the 50s? Like, why is there like Baby Ruth and Snickers and like maybe it's not the 50s, but like, why is there not new like smash hit candies all the time? Is it really like they found the formulas to these things that everybody loves and knows and they've been marketed to death? Like, why is there Snickers and only 50 other kind of main candies?
I think that's a great question. It's kind of like, we're in St. Louis. It's all about, Anheuser-Busch beer town. And like the reason Budweiser became the king of beers is because they invented the refrigerated rail car. So they found a way to get a refrigerated product to other, bars across the country before anyone else did it. And I think it kind of goes to why the 50s in candy, because it's so perishable and it melts. I think the technology of refrigerated trucking and refrigerated rail cars started then. So candy was everywhere. And there was probably 1,000 candy companies in the United States from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, but they were all just regional. So, if you're in Philly, you went to your local, baker down the corner florist, and corner candy maker. Now it's becoming, it'll travel, like Bissinger's products travel all over the country. We have customers in Alaska that order Bissinger's, where 100 years ago, 95% or 99% of our business would be a 10-mile radius.
What is a head candy maker? Like, bring me in the kitchen. Like, what is happening in there? I don't understand. Like, it seems like so simple, but it's like there's some magic happening in there. What is going on?
Yeah, there's more art than anything to it. So the candy kitchen, there's chocolate is not even introduced. So that kind of happens next. So we're working with butter and nuts, sugar, different types of sugar. There's liquid sugar, there's cane sugar, different fruits. And so at Bissinger's, our recipes have layers. So take like a raspberry cream, for example. You think, oh, that's simple, raspberry cream. That's the piece I don't eat in the candy box. Well, when you try a Bissinger's raspberry cream, that'll be the piece that you'll want next time, because we make, first thing we do is we make a French fondant, which is very different than your other kind of extruded creams. It's very dense. It's very smooth and creamy. And then the second thing is take fresh raspberries and cook them and make our own raspberry flavor with the real fruit. We do that for all of our fruit creams, orange and lemon and strawberry and raspberry. And then we combine those two things together with the fondant. So it's different, types of sugar coming together in your cooking. And, if you stir it too fast or if you cook it too high a temperature, you'll grain the sugar, which makes it like chalky.
Hmm.
Or if you don't stir it enough, you can burn it. So it can scorch, it can grain. And so just the technique of stirring the kettle, and it's a big copper kettle, is so important to the taste and the quality of that confection. Butter and whipping cream and milk are very sensitive ingredients that can burn very easily. So with caramel and toffee, for example, we're balancing the flame of the fire in the kettle with how we slowly add the ingredients. So I'm confident if I gave you our recipe and all of the ingredients, your caramel would taste different than one of my candy makers caramels.
Is there like a finite number of combinations that make sense when it comes to candy, or it's just like unlimited forever? You guys
Oh, it's
can just like
unlimited.
come up with new stuff forever.
And we try to, like, we love limited edition runs and seasonal runs. Like, we have been, Bissinger started in Paris, France, and it's only was mid 1800s where they came to the United States. So as we create new collections, we try to give like Europe a little bit of personality and the United States. So one collection, for example, we for autumn, it's two caramel and nut square pieces. So one was an apple cinnamon pecan piece. So pecans and apple, popular flavor profile in the United States, but pears and walnuts are very popular in France. And so Bissinger's standard pecans caramel chocolate we call a bear claw. You ready for this?
I'm waiting.
The pear walnut one, pear claw. So a lot of it is a little bit of wittiness on our end, and then but we'll make two batches a year. It goes in that autumn collection, and then we move on to the next thing. So we couldn't really come up with a fun apple cinnamon name, but we're working on it.
I'm a great names guy, so just hit me up when you have.
We have a Halloween skull collection, and one of them is a blood orange, and one of them's cinnamon, or pumpkin spice and apple cinnamon, and then the final one is cookies and scream.
There it is.
Yep.
See, that's right up my alley. I will say, you sent me a sample box, which made doing 249 episodes before this one worth it. So thank you for that. I mean, just fantastic. By the way, we did talk, and I told you pear was my favorite. You told me this story.
Oh, cinnamon pear, yeah.
You told me the story of like this was you getting back in the kitchen to kind of prove that you still had it, which obviously that sample box proved that you did. Can you tell me that story again? Like, why were you in there monkeying around with stuff again when you're a big business guy?
I always say, like, 5 of the 7 nights of the week, I wake up at 3 in the morning, and it's not something I'm proud of. Like, it drives my wife crazy, but I always get up at 3 a.m. I have these thoughts. I write them down. I try to go back to sleep. But one of them, like 2 years ago, was this. I wanted to create a new style collection of all shell molded pieces. And, so every mold is about $5,000. So it's 9 different molds. So it's going to be a very, very expensive endeavor to do it. And so I had been putting it off, and I really was thinking about each piece and to truly make it special, and having that box open in a different way that it slides open. And I would blue, which is a non-Bissinger's color, but we figured it's this Paris blue. It really leans into the history. So this thing has just been compiling, and I'm like, well, how do I close this box? Oh, let's just melt wax on it and stamp the Bissinger's crest on it. So all of these things were coming together. And we had it designed, we had the color, we called it the 1668 collection because that's the first year Bissinger was appointed the confectioner to the empire by the King of France. But we had not designed a single flavor in the box yet. And so usually what we do is we create a product and then wrap packaging around it. Well, this was a complete brand exercise in the opposite. And so everybody was kind of asking me because, we have deadlines, and we're coming up to our 2025 deadline now. We're doing the holiday photo shoot in about 2 weeks. And if it's not in the Christmas catalog by then, it's over. You go to next year. So we were coming up to this deadline, and we had the molds, and we had the boxes, and we had the wax, and we had the stamper, and we had everything. And I was just like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. So I locked myself in the R&D lab. And normally what we do for R&D is my sister, my brother, my head candy maker, myself sit down at our conference table just informal. So we could, they may have extra time at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. and I say, hey, let's go talk about things, or whatever. It's at least once a week. Sometimes bourbon's involved. Sometimes beer's involved. You never know where what inspiration gets to us. And I always sample and we talk about ideas, but they were just like, once this guy said, "Oh no, no one gets access," and so I locked everybody out, and I came up with 8 flavors, and everyone has a story behind it, and kind of this like combination in my mind of why I did this one for that one, and I could go on and on about the brand story of each one, and but I fell short on the ninth one. I was just like, I just can't come up with one. So I kind of pulled something out of thin air, and it was the cinnamon pear caramel, which was this beginning concept of the pear claw that I was telling you about. And everybody loves that, but it was with walnuts, and it was, so, and that's a chewy, different style caramel, not the soft one. So I kind of took the recipe for that and tweaked that and handmade it. And it's like the favorite. And I was even talking to someone the other day since we talked about this, and they're like, "Oh, I love your 1660." I was like, "Oh, what's your favorite one?" And they're like, "Oh, it's the cinnamon." Just
Yes, that's what I said. That was my favorite. It was great. And you hit an interesting point. I always like I love pears, and I think I'm partial to them because we had a like wild. There's like a wild pear. There's like wild pears or somewhere where I grew up. Like there's all these trees everywhere, and you like get them, and you can. And my
so
grandma had
good. Yeah.
anyway. But like Americans don't appreciate pears as much. They just don't like. It's weird. Like they're such a great fruit. I love it so. My kids are
Yeah.
into
Apple,
them because
strawberries, and raspberries are the big
yeah, it's just the apple, and I don't know
or
what I mean. Is it
cherry. But if you want to go like very artificially, like cherry's got to be like, what's your 7-Eleven? What's the big slushy? It's the red cherry.
right?
When it comes to
Right.
the clean natural, I would say it's hard to make. Like we've tried because we only work with natural real fruit. It's hard to make a blueberry truffle taste really good because
Hmm.
like blueberry and watermelon, it's juicy, it's melony. There's really not a lot of flavor like than oranges and lemons and limes have so much acid in them, natural acid in them that that punches. And so certain fruits just don't work.
Yeah.
You take
Well,
that artificially.
pear does. Pear worked.
Paradox.
Pear
Oh, I love
works
it.
great. What's your thoughts on chocolate dipped fruit?
So I
Good, bad,
love it.
and different.
Love
Okay.
it.
All right. So
Absolutely.
chocolate dipped strawberries. You're in. All
We
right.
make them every day, every
Do
morning.
you?
Yeah, my brother and sister, that's one of the things they do every morning.
Okay. How often do people ask you to bring free samples? Is your trunk just like full of free sample chocolate right now?
I get like, I'll be 95 degrees on the golf course. Like, you didn't bring chocolate? I'm like, not, no, not today. But the other thing is, like, I love, you know, giving out the product we make. So I
Right.
love giving people chocolate and having them taste it and seeing their reaction. I'm watching. It's always like there's no such thing as a free sample, right? So
Right.
if I'm
Yes.
giving you a free sample, I'm watching your body language and I'm seeing what
Oh yeah.
it is. And so all of that is my own little market research. We just
Okay.
created a new piece for one of our new big endeavors as we're launching retail in Florida. And I created this new coconut piece. And I brought it 90%. My brother and our head candy maker had an idea for the last 10%, and it's what makes it so remarkable. Like that last 10% is amazing, and of how they caramelize the sugar in it. But everybody's loving it right now, and we're very proud of that one, and we've been sampling it. And that's kind of like my, I think that will be the new cinnamon pear.
All right. I love coconut, so I think I'm gonna have to try that one when it comes out. Do you just like swear off normal? Do you guys eat any normal candy outside of what you like?
I love peanut M&Ms. I just think they're amazing.
Okay, so you do eat. So I was gonna say like give me an F Mary kill for mainstream chocolate candies. So it sounds like I know what the F is. What about Mary and kill? What is your
I would
least
say
favorite? And
Twix
maybe
would be Mary.
Twix. Okay, all right. Okay,
Kill
and
is
what about
Hershey bar.
kill? Which one?
Hershey bar.
Hershey bar.
Can't do it.
Wow. Tell me why you can't do it. I feel like I know the answer to this, but tell me why you hate it.
It's just not my flavor profile. I mean, we really like. I don't even know if they're using. They they change the recipe and it's different in different places. So I don't know if they're using cocoa butter in the chocolate, but it's just to me does not taste
It
like
melts weird.
chocolate.
It
Yeah, I think
melts
they're using
weird.
different fat instead of the cocoa butter. So cocoa butter is the natural fat in the chocolate. When you crack open that bean, there's the white stuff, that's just the natural fat. The cocoa butter, that's really the food of the gods. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's the magic. That's where the smell and the texture of chocolate comes from. And then there's the chocolate liquor, which is brown, and that's the cocoa. It's like brownie,
Mm-hmm.
like chocolate. So you bring those two together, and so what's the most expensive is the cocoa butter. So how do you cut cost? Either remove the cocoa butter or put very little in it. So, and it's just not my thing. I just never liked a Hershey. I mean, I was 12 years old and I told my dad one time, I was like, I don't like this. And he goes, oh, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like you grew up in a situation where you were able to say that. Like you're like,
Yeah.
we have a better alternative here. I It melts weird. I'll say that. Like if you see it, like if it's a hot day, like it stays together, but it's like mushy and like it doesn't like melt. It kind
Different,
of like
yeah. And that's that different type of fat. Like cocoa butter has that wonderful melting properties. And so it's just not my thing. But like, number one chocolate bar in the world. So like, they sell more in a minute than I make in a year. So like, I'm not.
marketing is king. We definitely know that. What's your dentist say about your life choices? Does he judge you?
Oh, he loves it.
I bet he
He's
does.
got a new
He
product.
probably is like, I just come on in, your whole
Yeah.
family. We
The
need
whole
your
yeah.
the whole
All your
family
friends.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, back to like the business side of things and like the actual point of this podcast, because as you could imagine, me thinking about how I'm going to put this show together and then you guys making chocolate since like the 1600s, like the first customer, sure, you could go with the King of France or whatever. What I'm curious about, like, how well do you know your customer today? Like, who are they today? Like, if you were to go to draw a picture of them, who is it?
I That's a really good question. And so at Chocolate Company, that's the company my parents started. I grew up in the business, and after just doing it for so long, we created products to our customer, and our customer likes really fun things, really dessert forward items. So like, we created a caramel fudge brownie truffle, instant success. We created a waffle cone caramel chocolate bar, instant success.
Mm.
A cannoli chocolate bar, instant success. Happy birthday bar, instant success. And that, to learn that, took us a long time to figure out that that really fun, bright colors, vibrant packaging, great photography, and then taking some great dessert and bringing it into chocolate. So when we acquired Bissinger's, and so I had been born and raised in St. Louis, and Bissinger's has been here for almost 100 years, and they were the high end luxury brand of the town. So I very much knew I shopped in the same malls where they had locations. And so I was not immune to not knowing who they were at the surface. But my biggest fear was, oh my gosh, I'm going to make the wrong product because I don't know the customer. And so the first year, I pretty much, the first catalog, 2019, there was nothing new. We just, our goal was maintain continuity of business and consistency. And then, we're coming into 2020 thinking that it's going to be a big year for new product development and COVID, which actually it was because of COVID and everybody was buying online. I would just go have our photographer take a picture of a new product, put it online, send an email newsletter to 100,000 of our closest friends, and we would know right away if our customer liked it. So because of that, good sized customer base we had with our text marketing and online marketing and catalog customer base, we learned very quickly. And so who are they? They really like the finer things in life. And so it's not that I don't like to say it's an income level thing as much, because we're not a car. You can, if you want to go spend a little bit extra money on a box of chocolates, it's obtainable. And we're very much of a gift giving brand. And so, if your wife's birthday, it only comes around once a year. So why not go spend an extra $10 on a box of this really premium handmade confection that, has the brand story. So because we're not that chocolate bar you get at the checkout aisle every single time you go to the grocery store, which is once a week, when that product goes up $1, that's $50 a year. When our product goes up $2, and you buy it 3-4 times a year, that's $8 or $10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and I just think that's the customer that appreciates fine wine, craft cocktails, just kind of the finer things in life where you just kind of step up, and really about foodie as well.
And do you use that information about the profile of your customer to pick where to advertise or pick which shows to go to, or pick like tell me about kind of how you execute on the strategy of like going after those profiles of people now that you've spent some time identifying them?
The big thing is we still print a catalog. We do 7 national catalogs a year, and that's one of my favorite
I want one, by the way. I want one of these catalogs. You keep
Oh
talking
yeah,
about it. I
I
want
wish.
one badly. I
Just
definitely
because
hope
you
I get
said
one.
Bissingers, you'll probably get an Instagram ad,
Sure.
and
I'm
you'll
sure
get a
I
catalog in
will.
the mail. Yeah, we're starting to dip our toe in AI, and it's I was talking to my brother the other day about he was redoing his garage. I was like, oh, you should do like that epoxy one where you put the paint down, paint chips. What ad did I get served on my Instagram feed?
Oh,
That
of
ad.
course. Yeah. They're
So
listening. They're listening for sure.
but yeah, the catalog. I mean, we spend so much time on this photo shoot. It's a big deal, and how we present and it's one of my like I said, it's one of my favorite parts about it. So we're not just like, here's a picture of a product in a everything is so meticulously thought out, and how we present the brand is in the voice and vision of the brand or in that catalog. But what we do is we take our list, and now AI is getting better, but we analyze it and we find not 5 or 10 or 20 data points. We find like 200, and then we take that to look at for prospecting as well. So and then for retargeting, we're trying to retarget our existing customer that maybe hasn't committed to a purchase but is going to. So a lot of different metrics for that. Our newest kind of thing. So online, catalog, direct to consumer, all is one category. And so as we're looking at different acquisition models and different ways to market, we're using that data, and we're using in those funnels. Wholesale is, we have standards for wholesale. So we want to be specialty. We want to be in boutiques. We're not going to go in any discounting. We're not going to be under retail. We're not going to go in big box. We're not going to go into mass, and nothing against those. Like, typically the big mass accounts are kind of like when you made it in life as a chocolate, as a brand, right? If Target comes knocking, that's the most exciting thing. But for us, we still hand make every single confection. And so we just don't have the bandwidth to properly serve a Target with, handmade Bissinger's confections. So we really go into more smaller specialty boutiques. And like Barnes and Noble, for example, they came on board in the end of 2023. Phenomenal fit for Bissinger's. They're just great people. But the consumer, someone that comes in and likes to read books all the time and just understands and appreciates the finer details, which is what Bissinger's is. And I always say that, because of the brand history and because of the product is truly handmade, the brand has so much soul, just like what a book has. And so, but that's kind of how we approach wholesale. And then our latest and greatest idea is we're going to open 10 luxury retail boutiques in 10 luxury locations across the United States.
Beautiful. Well, I thought I was going to be safe hearing about AI, but you somehow mixed AI into chocolate, which is quite an impressive feat. White chocolate imposter or
Ours is
misunderstood
real.
genius? Is it
So
good?
ours,
Like, what do you think about white chocolate? Or what is it?
so
Do
there's
you like
like, I
it?
always say, like, it's the paper test. If you take like something white chocolate, put it against a piece of paper, if they match, it's not real.
Okay.
You take our white chocolate truffle and put that against a piece of paper, ours is very yellowy. It looks white until you
Right.
compare it to something that's whiter. But the cocoa butter, which is that really good special ingredient inside the cocoa pod, it's not actually white. It's kind of more of an ivory color. We use real, cocoa butter from the bean to make our white chocolate.
How big of a spike did you see in sales from Forrest Gump and Life is a Box of Chocolates? Anything? Was there any
I,
correlation? No. No. All
I was
right.
8 years old, but I'm
I
sure
thought I
there
had
was
to ask.
yeah.
I had to ask. So what's next? I mean, you're going to open a bunch of stores. I think you mentioned expansion and buying different things and doing stuff. Like, what is the vision for the company in the next 5, 10, 15, 20? Like, what are you guys trying to be? Just keep who you are and kind of grow your footprint? Are you trying to be something new and different? What
No,
does
I
the future hold?
I think that so. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and one of the
This one, I'm sure. I'm sure this is on the top of your list, but go
yeah,
ahead.
for
Sorry.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all different, and really, like, there's like 5 or 10 that I listen to consistently. And
Sure.
one of the things that I hear over and over again is like, when businesses make mistakes, that's tuition. That's your education. And so I feel like we've made the right mistakes over the last 10 years. Like, we wanted to go really big at one time, and we invested a lot in very automated, high speed, bigger production lines. And we got into some really high volume truckload size orders, and we just hated it. And I always say, like, sometimes when you get too close to the sun, you can get burned. We didn't get burned financially or lose a customer or upset anyone. We just realized it's not like our core DNA is we still like stirring a kettle of of sugar and making it into something magical. We're like the only ones that want to do that. Everybody else is comes in and loves. I talk to everyone in the industry. They love automation. They're looking at how can we run the product faster with less human touch. And so what we want to do is continue this trajectory of growth, but we're going back to buying those smaller production lines. So the lines that we bought 15 years ago, we're buying those again. And it's just a team of three, and it's very slow, and everything's very handmade. And so that's the model. So instead of having four big lines, we want to have 15 small lines. And it allows very small batches, everything to be very handmade, everything not to run too fast where you're starting to lose quality. So it's kind of this reverse logic of the 2025,
Hmm.
2026. But it's really, as I study and, who do I watch, and outside chocolate, it's like, this is what Hermes is doing. This is what Rolex is doing. This is what Omega is doing. And they're truly, everything is handmade. And, they have to train people in their way of doing things. And they're truly, and so I've been more inspired by that lately of, like I look out there, I'm like, oh, there's someone else as crazy as we are. And so that parlayed with our own expand our own retail brick and mortar outside of St. Louis is kind of the next, I would say, 2 to 3 year vision. Also wrapping up we're wrapping up a 2 year construction project where we're doubling the size of our factory.
Hmm.
So this has been going on. We're like probably it's going to be finished in September. So it's been a long process. Like even this morning they had 9 cement trucks out front pouring concrete. So it's been fun to see. Like I love controlled chaos. So it's been fun to be in the middle of a job site because it's the expansion is connecting to this facility. So I don't have to walk far to go on the job site.
I like that. Do you trust people who say they don't like chocolate? And should we be
No,
watching them closely?
no, unless they're allergic to it, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if their body rejects it. But if it's they can't be trusted or they just haven't had the right chocolate yet.
Right, there you go. That's the right answer. Is it possible to do any of this at home? If me
Yeah,
and my daughter love to bake, like, is it be possible to like make a small batch of something at home
yeah.
that's not
So
terrible?
I do it all the time. I mean, I
Well, I mean,
remember
you
I
do. I'm not. I
made in
mean, yeah,
college.
yeah.
I made
You do. Let's not say can Dan make it at home. I'm saying can I make it at home? I know you can. You could make it in the like under an underpass. I'm talking about like could I acquire the right things at a reasonable price to just like make some good chocolate candy at home?
You can. So, baking is properly combining the right recipe and stirring and letting the oven kind of do the work. And there's a little bit more to it than that. I don't want to offend a baker listening to it, but chocolate is more about, like if I say, you know, slowly, take the sugar, butter, and whipping cream and milk and slowly stir it on a open, stove on a low flame, the electric oven, electric stove versus a gas stove. I mean, everything's going to be different. I would do it,
Hmm.
walk in and just kind of see it and understand it and just look at it. But so there's so much more. It's like so much unwritten rules to do it. So you do it? Absolutely. Tempering chocolate's challenging because you can't just take solid chocolate, put it in the microwave, and let it melt. You actually have to slowly melt it and then kind of bring it to a really cold temperature and then heat it up again. So but like, I think there's probably a good TikTok video on how to temper chocolate now. And so it is doable. If you wanted to like take chocolate, melt it and dip strawberries, they may not be, it could be dry, they could dry out of temper. So they may look streaky a little bit, but they'll still taste
Hmm.
good. Or
Yeah,
like
I've done the chocolate covered strawberries thing. I'm thinking more like 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 the little squares. Like make something
a
that
little
I could,
caramel. I
yeah,
mean,
or something. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like a fun family project. Something to kill a
the
Sunday
thing I would
afternoon or
like
something.
caution with like caramel, we cook to the 240, 250. Some
Hmm.
like toffee cooks to 300, and if it burns you, it really hurts. But then also like say for example, like if you're frying something, and like a little bit of oil shoots out at you, it like stings for it's like a bee sting. It's
Mm. Yeah,
or
yeah,
10 seconds. But
right.
caramel doesn't come off you.
Sure. Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
I get where you're
continuously
going.
burns. And so I would say like if you're going to be cooking with it, really be cautious and I don't want anyone to go burn themselves and hurt because you can take off skin at 240 degrees. It is
Oh
very
yeah.
hot. So, but it can be done.
All right. Well, if I make any, I'll send you some and get some feedback. And my box isn't going to be as fancy as the one that you sent me, but I'll put something together. All right. I have one last question, non chocolate related, non business related. This is just for
Like an
Dan,
alien one.
not the alien one. I already asked you that. What would you do if you could do anything on Earth and you knew you wouldn't fail?
Wow, I like it. What would I do if I could do anything on earth and I knew I wouldn't fail? And it's not business, it's just anything?
Nope. No business, no chocolate. Just something that you want to do that you're probably afraid of doing because you're afraid of failing.
You stumped me. I don't know.
Oh, come on. I've never people take a long time. I've never stumped anybody. You gotta give me something.
Meet me halfway. Give me one. Give me like, what would
Oh,
your response? Because I'm really interested in giving you the
I
best.
mean, like go to space.
Oh,
That's an easy,
that's an easy one. Yeah. Um,
something you've always wanted to do.
we're talking to the guy that does what
Yeah,
he
I know,
always
I know. Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah,
day.
yeah.
So
You'd be surprised at how many people try to weasel out of this question, but I don't let it happen. This is not happening. You gotta give me something here.
not space. I don't really like dislike or like space, but I'm like that wouldn't be it. Let's see. If it couldn't fail, probably jump out of a plane.
There you go.
I
Okay,
think it would be. I would.
fair enough.
I think that would be fun, but I don't. I like living, so I don't. I try to be risk adverse. So I think skydiving.
Okay, fair enough. Good answer. See, I would have said for me, swimming with sharks is the answer. But next week, I'll be turning 40 and my wife is taking me to dive with sharks. So I hope I don't fail. There is a chance I'll fail and I'll die and this never airs. So if nothing else, we just had a great
Yeah,
conversation for
yeah.
33 minutes. So
I
I
was
do
just gonna say,
appreciate
at
it.
least we got this in. But if you don't have it published, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, my team will figure it out. It'll be out. I promise. It'll be good. All right. Well, you're awesome, dude. This is fantastic. I knew it was going to be great. If you want to find out anything that they heard about from you today specifically, what's the best way to get in touch? And then how do we buy this fantastic chocolate? Because I'm sure people are going to be clamoring for it after this conversation.
Easiest way to go to is bissingers.com. It's Bissingers. But you can also find it at all the Barnes and Noble stores nationwide, select Dillard stores nationwide, and there's about 1,000 other boutiques that you can find it as well. So, and hopefully in a retail store near you. I've been traveling all over the country, so we've announced one location so far, but we have about 6 deals done.
Oh, is this like the FIFA World Cup or your people are clamoring to get you into their city? They're like,
I would love that to be the case.
I'll start a campaign to get you.
I
I'd
mean,
love
we're
for
not
them
the
to do one
Savannah
in Philly.
Bananas just yet, but
No,
but
please
hopefully,
put one in Philly. Put one in Philly. It's a great place.
I
There you
love
go.
Philly.
All
I
right.
keep going up to Philly, and there's a beautiful mall there. I'd love to be there, but
King of Prussia?
King of Prussia, it's a great mall.
I was just there Sunday. So yes. All right. Well, it's awesome talking to you, brother. Be good. Thank you for everything. Keep up the awesome work and we'll catch up soon. All right. Thanks, Dan.
How much?
See you, buddy.